Okay, let's begin. So, so we need to define first what is a strategy. So, the strategy is a set of actions taken by managers of a company to increase the company's performance. So, these are the series of actions or planned actions to be taken by managers so that they can increase their chances of performing well or achieving their goals. So just like in a game of chess, so those who have a strategy beforehand will more likely have a higher chance of succeeding the or winning the game. Okay, so the strategy making process includes both the strategy formulation and the strategy implementation. So the strategic make that's the formulation of strategy and the implementation are equally important. So the strategic management about is not only about formulating or planning for strategies, but the company must also see to it that those strategies are implemented effectively and smoothly. So the formulated strategies is useless if the company cannot implement them well. So the reason why we are formulating strategies is for a company to achieve the what we call the competitive advantage. So what is a competitive advantage? This is the advantage that the company has over its competitors that it gains by offering consumers greater value than they can get from its competitors. So, kumbaga, we're trying to tell the customers that we are our products or services are better than the our competitors. So it could be the competition may be who sells the cheapest price or who can sell the product at a lower price or which product has a higher quality compared with its competitors. So kung kaya nimo mag-produce og product nga at a very low price nga dili kaya upson sa sa imong competitor, then you have a competitive advantage over them. Or if you can produce products or services that has a higher quality compared with your competitors, so it is said you have attained a competitive advantage. Or it could be that you are focusing your business in one business model, or you're only catering to one group of customers. Like for example, if you are so like for example si Gaisano, 'di ba? So the way Gesano handle the competition is dito siya nag-focus kung asa siya na a competitive advantage, which is the groceries or the selling of goods at a very low price. So that's why iyang gi-increase ang space sa groceries. Okay? So nag-focus siya ato. So the focus strategy is can be considered also as a competitive advantage of the business. Okay? So it can be price, a quality, or focus. So a company that has a competitive advantage which will usually be more profitable than the company it competes with. So of course, if you have the edge over against your competitors, the market will choose you, or your more customers or more market share will be acquired. So kung more market share, of course, it means more profits. So the competitive advantage makes the difference between a company that succeeds and a company that fails. So for us to survive in the competition, so we need to be the best in the competition. Okay. So by being the best, so we need to know what sets us apart from the other competitors. So why would the customers choose you over other competitors? So it's not only the profits that we are after, but also to sustain that profits over time. Okay, so we just don't want nga karon lang ta nga tuig profitable, but we need to sustain that profits over time. So that is why the managers need to formulate strategies that will give their companies their competitive advantage over time. So another term for the formulation of strategies is what we call the strategic planning. Okay, so this is your output in this subject. So you need to come up with a strategic plan for a chosen company or business. So what is the purpose why the management needs to do the strategic planning? So the strategic planning is to guide the company. So so it is only directional. So it will guide the company what are the efforts needed to achieve superior performance, to get their competitive advantage, and of course to maximize the shareholder value. So if you can remember in our finance and financial markets, so 'di ba, the ultimate goal of the management is to maximize the shareholder value. So usually the strategic plans are developed for a period of 5 years or longer. So ina nakadugay ang mga strategic plans. Okay, so those plans are to be implemented for the next 5 years or longer. And the plan must be updated. So of course, these are long-term plans. So there are circumstances or events nga probably wala na capture. So the strategic plan must always be updated or rolled forward each year. So just to see kung unsay progress na sa strategic plans. So the results of the annual planning process are usually used, so along with the tactical and operational planning in developing the budget for the coming year. So the strategic plan is also used to come up with a budget, okay, or the master budget or the annual budget for the next year. So we will define the difference between the strategic plan, tactical and operational plan as we continue with our presentation. So the role of management in attaining the profitable growth. So there are two philosophies. So you have the market theory and the planning and control theory. So according to the market theory, so it gives management a passive role and views its function basically as making reactive decisions in response to environmental events as they occur. So meaning passive. So you just react when something already happened. So for example, kung if you have not prepared for the COVID, so right there and then, so dapat makahimo na kag decisions that can help your business survive. Okay, so reactive. So it just the management just wait for things to happen before they do something. So that's what we call reactive or passive. The other philosophy is called the planning and control. So according to this theory, the management should have an active role. So they should plan always. So they should think ahead. So they are more proactive. So even the problem is not there yet, so they have already prepared a plan or contingency plan for for that. So types of plans. So you have first the strategic plans, or also known as the long-term plans. So they are usually expressed uh, in a broad, so general and long term. So usually it can be called strategic plan if the plan is good for 5 to 10 to more than years, to more than 5 years. So the strategic plans are based on the objectives of the organization. And the strategic plans, ang maghimuan usually is led by the top management. So it's the top management who leads the strategic plan and makes the final decisions. The strategic plan is not detailed nor focused on specific financial targets, so such as the increase of sales or reduce the cost by 10%. So dili na siya mag-mention og inana nga mga targets. So the strategic plans are always expressed in a very broad terms. So the strategic plan so looks at the strategies, objectives, and goals of the company by first examining the external and internal environment affecting the company. So this can be done through the PESTEL analysis and SWOT analysis. So the second type of plan is called the intermediate or tactical plans. Okay, so usually these plans are implementable for 1 to 5 years. So which are designed to implement specific parts of the strategic plan. So usually the ones who are crafting these plans are the upper and middle managers. So kung top management ang strategic plan, ang mga tactical plans, so this refers to mga department heads or office heads. So they're the ones making the tactical plans or the intermediate plans. And lastly, you have so the strategic plan is broken down into tactical plans. So, sib, 'di ba? Very broad ang strategic plan. So, it needs to be broken down into more detailed. So, you have the tactical plans. So, however, the tactical plans is not still not very detailed. So, you have to uh, break it down again into more detailed plans, so called operational plans. So the operational plans are implementable for the maximum of 1 year. So this refers to your annual operating plan. So these plans are developed from your tactical plans. So your tactical plans, so mas further detail pa siya. So name mo siyang operational plan. The operational plan is important because this is the primary basis for the creation of the master budget or the budgets for the next year. So the for operational plans, these are usually developed by the middle and the lower level managers. So these are managers that are um, the ones who are really involved in the operations and the selling or mas na sila proximity or closeness to our customers. So aside from those three plans, so we have other types. So the first is called the single purpose plans. So these are developed for a specific item such as the construction of a fixed asset, the development of a new product, or the implementation of a new accounting system. So for FSUU, for example, so before they purchase the FSUU Learn or Neo LMS, so they have to plan first. So pilay budget, so unsaon siya paggamit. So this belongs to the single purpose plans. So another type of plan is called the standing purpose. So these plans have relevance and use for many different items. So these are plans given to each specific department or office. So such as the budget for marketing and operations. And then lastly, you have the contingency planning. So it is a planning that a company develops to prepare possible future events. So especially if they foresee some negative events. So the contingency planning is what if planning. So contingency planning is part also of the risk management practices of the company. Now let's go to the overall process of the strategic planning. So the first step is to define first the company's mission, vision, the values and goals. Second is to analyze the external environment so we can identify the company's opportunities and threats. Third is to analyze the internal operating environment so we can identify the strengths, weaknesses, and limitations of the organization. So, so we need to get all those we get to get the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats so that we can perform what the SWOT analysis. Okay, so the SWOT analysis is used to formulate the strategies. Okay, so how do we formulate strategies? So of course our goal is to attain the mission, okay? Attain the mission vision of the company. So so that mission and goals can only be done if we optimize the organization's strengths and correct its weaknesses and limitations so that we can take advantage of the opportunities at the same time countering the negative impact of the threats. So after that, after the SWOT analysis, now you can now develop and implement the chosen strategies. Okay, so let's have a deeper discussion on each of the process. So beginning with step number one, so defining the company's mission, vision, values, and goals. So the mission statement contains the following. So you have the mission or reason to be, or the purpose why the company exists. Second is the vision or the statement of a desired future state or what they want to become. Third is the statement of the organization's values. So the values and the statement of goals. So what values that does the employees need to have or for them to attain the vision and mission? And what are the specific goals? Because as we know, the vision and mission are expressed in the broad terms. So what are the specific actions and timeline? So all employees and all the CEOs uh, have one purpose why they are in the company, and that is to attain the vision and mission. So whatever company it is, what type of organization it is, all of them will have a job, will have a similar job, and that is to attain the mission and vision. So that is why if you can remember, okay, so during our PASCO visit or the PASCO accreditation or our CHED visit, so some students are, diba, required to at least be familiar with our vision and mission. Okay. So of course the purpose of that is um, to know whether the FSUU is doing its best to attain the mission and vision. Okay. So the students are the output of the school, and you mirror the all the values, you mirror all the vision. Okay. So if dili na if kamo ang mirror, if ni-succeed ba ang FSUU in their attainment of the mission and vision. So the company's mission is what the company does. So in writing the mission statement, so the management should ask itself, so what is our business? Okay. So what will it be and what should it be? So in answering the question, so management should think in terms of the customers. So in a customer perspective, so for example, what customer groups are we serving? So which in the sa marketing pa so what is our target market? So what type of groups are we trying to serve? Second question is what needs? What are the needs of those target group are we trying to serve? And lastly is how do we serve them or by what means? So skills ba? Imparting knowledge or giving distinctive competencies? Okay, so So the answer should be a customer-centered rather than product-oriented. So dili pwede nga magsuot kog mission statement nga obvious, okay? Sa imong business. Like for example, laundry business. So you cannot state nga imong mission is to wash clothes for the customers. So it's very product-centered. So the mission statement must be expressed in a customer-centered way. Okay. So for another example is if you are into selling of widgets, so dili ka magbutang that the business is selling widgets, but satisfy the customer's needs for the benefits the company can supply through its widgets. So unsa may mahimo sa widgets, or what particular needs ang masatisfy sa needs sa customer. So so for example, for FSUU, so it's an educational institution, pero the mission statement of FSUU is not stated nga uh, inana. Okay, so it's not more on the service centered, but rather the client centered or the student centered. So for example, so FSUU commits itself to provide a balanced program of spiritual formation, educational development, research undertakings, and community involvement for all. So the business of FSU is not only educating people, okay, but also to have spiritual formation. So that's why we have lots of programs about the masses, recollections, and retreats for students, especially graduating students and some employees. So we have our Office of Religious Affairs nga office. Okay, so we also have the 3 o'clock prayer and Angelus. So these are part of the spiritual formation program of FSUU. So educational development, of course, that's the main operation. So research undertakings. So that's why we have lots of researches. And most important of all is the community involvement. So this FSUU wants to produce not only educated people or uh, students who have learned something, but to actually apply those learnings for a good purpose or for the betterment of the society. The second mission is to form self-determined Filipinos. So again, customer-centered yapon. So who uphold the integrity of creation, are crusaders of truth and justice, proud of their identity and heritage, and in a dialogue with different cultures. And third one is empower all as catalysts for social transformation and development. So in short, the mission states nga the FSUU wants to produce a well-rounded individuals. Okay, so and they want to produce students or graduates nga dili lang bright, but at the same time has a great contribution to the society. So dili lang educated, but is really a good citizen. Okay. So the next part of the mission statement is the company's vision. So vision is what the company would like to achieve or become. Okay, so it is what we want to become as a company. So the vision must be also be challenging. Otherwise, kung dali ra kay na siya ma-attain, so it will not really motivate the employees or even the management. So a good vision statement should challenge the company by stating an ambitious future state. Okay, so ambitious future state that will motivate employees at all levels and drive the strategies that the company's management will formulate and implement in order to achieve the vision. So this naka-anchor as a vision ang mga strategies o mga actions sa company or sa employees. So so they themselves will become better each year or each succeeding year. So for FSUU, so na siya vision niya inani. So as you notice, the vision also contains the identity of the company. So Father Saturnino Orios University, a lay-empowered Filipino Catholic diocesan educational institution, envisions a community of men and women committed to pursue the work of Christ for the wholeness of society. So in short, aside from educating you, so you are also immersed with the Christian teachings and values that you can apply for the betterment of our society. So after the vision, so you have the values. Okay. So the values are how the managers and employees should behave and do business. So this is the values that we should acquire. Okay. Or we should have so that we can have a harmonious or peaceful relationship inside the organization or inside the school. So the values are the foundation of the organizational culture. So the culture is the way of life inside the organization. So ang ilang mga naandan, ilang tradition, how they do things. Okay. So these are the values, the norms, and the standards that govern how the company's employees work to achieve the company's mission and goals. So these are the values needed to acquire para ma-achieve ang mission and goals of the company. So example for FSUU, we have the Orient core values. So you have the unity, religiosity, integrity, altruism, and last is the nationalism or the Orient core values. So the Orient core values are the suggested values that we must have so that we can attain the mission and vision of FSUU. Okay, so that is why it's very important nga later on if graduate na mo, you have to apply for a job or a company. So dapat you should research first if the mission and vision and the values are aligned with your own vision, mission, and values. Okay? So there should be an alignment. Okay? But kung dili magkaparehas, okay? Like for example, in the case of religiosity, so not all students believe in religion. Okay? And not all students uh, believe in the Catholic teachings. So that poses a problem. Okay? However, since it doesn't mean you do not believe them, you will ignore the practices. Okay, so even though you are not a Catholic, so per policy you are still required to stop during the 3 o'clock prayer and the the Angelus. So that is why even if you are an atheist, so sa classroom mag-start yun nagyapoy prayer. So mag-start with prayer. Okay, other classrooms mag-end pa ganit sila prayer because that's part of the values inside the organization. So it's more of a policy rather than a koan. So for so even if you cannot acquire the values, but at least we have to respect the values inside the organization. So pero kung grabe na gyud extreme na gyud nga di kay gyud ka against jud ka ana, okay? So remember that the company will not adjust to you, but ikaw ang dapat mag-adjust sa company because they are not hiding their identities. So altruism, nationalism. So if you're against ani nga mga values, then you just have to kuan, okay? Just to keep it yourself and just respect their core values. Another is the goals. So what is a goal? So it is a precise and measurable future state that the company wants to achieve. Okay, so if the mission and vision is very broad, okay, and then no timeline, so makita na nimo sa iyang goals. So these are more specific actions. So specific plans on how to achieve their vision and mission. So the purpose of a goal setting is to specify what needs to be done in order to attain the company's mission and vision. So well-constructed goals provide a means for managers' performance to be evaluated. Okay, so there's a performance evaluation. So what are the characteristics of a well-constructed goals? So first, they are precise and measurable. Second, they should be crucial and address important issues. Third, the number of goals should be limited so managers can maintain their focus on them. So pangit sa dagdagan ka goals, so it should be the goals must be limited. So they should be challenging while at the same time being realistic. So the goals must be challenging but also dapat realistic because if the goal is too unrealistic, it will cause the employees to give up, okay, or perhaps do something unethical just to achieve the goal. On the other hand, a goal is not if the goal is not challenging enough, so it will demotivate or not be motivating enough for our employees and managers. Okay, last is they specify when they should be achieved in order to create a sense of urgency. So dapat butangan nimo og timeline, okay? Or it should be time bounded. So it is said that if a dream has no timeline, so it just remains a dream, okay? But if there is already a timeline and there is a specific actions on how to achieve that, then the dream becomes a goal. So other characteristics such as smart, okay? So the goal must be smart. So the SMART is an acronym for specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bounded. Okay. So somehow the SMART acronym is similar to the characteristics given here. Okay, so let's talk about goals and objectives. So these two words are often used interchangeably. So it's sometimes hard to distinguish what is a goal and what is an objective. So So a goal is actually a measurable future state that the company wants to achieve. Okay, so the goals specifies precisely what needs to be done for the company to achieve its mission or visions. So for example, if you have a goal, let's say you want to graduate in the BSAIS nga course, so that is an example of a goal. Okay? Objectives are the series of steps taken to attain the goal. So what are the series of steps or actions to attain the goal? So for example, if you want to graduate as BSAIS, okay? So what are the specific steps or series of steps that you must do so that you can achieve that goal? Okay? So perhaps passing all the subjects, studying, okay? Making sure that you have enough sleep, okay? So on and so forth. So these are called objectives. Okay. So the objectives are more detailed steps in attaining the goal. So these objectives are also smaller targets that need to be hit in order to achieve the goal. So planning is the process that enables a company to achieve its goals and objectives. So before a company can achieve its goals and objectives, so there must be a plan first. Okay. It is the responsibility of management to make sure that all of the smaller goals and objectives work toward the ultimate achievement of the corporate level goals and objectives. Management must make certain that there's a harmonization of goals, which is done efficiently and effectively as possible. So there are cases nga kada department, of course, kada offices na sila kaugalingong goals and objectives. But without a management that will coordinate among them, so it will cause chaos and perhaps they will not attain their ultimate nga goals, corporate nga goals and objectives. So people in each department are most closely connected with their goals, okay, in their department. So there is always a risk that the employees will develop a what we call the tunnel vision. Okay. So if you have seen a tunnel, so wag yung kailaing makita dira to is kundili ang end, 'di ba? The light at the end of the tunnel. Okay. So the tunnel vision occurs when the employees become so concerned with their goals, okay, that they fail to notice or care about the larger goals of the company. So if in doing their jobs, they hamper others in the performance of jobs, and the company does not only benefit, but it can actually cause damage or hurt. So managers need to be certain that they do not lose the sight of the company's goals. So to give you an example of this, so for example, I have experience working in a family business. Okay, so so the siblings, even the parents, nasa lain-lain nga duties and responsibilities. So one sibling, for example, involved siya sa marketing, the other sibling is involved in the operations, and then the parents are involved in the finance. Okay? However, the problem nga nakita nako is that they have less coordination. So they do not communicate with one another. Okay? They do not, and they communicate personally, but in terms of business, so kanya-kanya. Okay? So for example, the sibling that is responsible for the sales, okay? So maayo siya kay daghan siya ma-convince nga customers. So daghan kay bag-order sa iya, okay? So daghan kay siya nakuha ang orders. Unfortunately, tungod kay wala man siya coordinations with his sibling nga naa sa operations. So ang na-problem nga ni arise ana nga time is that the operations department cannot accommodate all the orders. Okay? Kanang di man maka-accommodate sa tanan orders. So probable reason is that kulang sa manpower. Okay? Or perhaps the space is not enough to store the finished goods. Or third, they need additional machines for them to produce the the orders. Okay? So sayang kayo ang orders, okay? Maayo og performance ang naa sa sales. Unfortunately, as a company, wala na siya na materialize. It's because pag-abot sa operations department, there is a bottleneck. They cannot accommodate all the orders. They cannot produce all the orders nga na-acquire. So sayang ang effort, okay? And then what's worse is that the reputation is also impacted negatively kay syempre kung di ka ka-produce sa order, okay? So mapangit yun ang reputation sa business. Okay? So that is why there's a need for coordination, okay, of the different departments or offices inside the organization. So we may be achieving our own goals, our department goals, but perhaps because of less coordinations, we are damaging also the performance of the company as a whole. And the managers need to be to solve that. Okay. So when the goals of one level of the company fit with the goals of the next highest level, the company has achieved what we call the means end relationship. Okay? So there are goals nga kailangan sa nimo ni ma-achieve nga goal before you can achieve the next goal, 'di ba? So for example, balik ko na to inyong pag-eskwela. So of course, there's a bigger reason or uh, a higher reason why you want to graduate, 'di ba? In college. So of course, your ultimate goal is not to graduate in college. There's a reason why you want to achieve to graduate in college. So perhaps you want to land a good paying job later on. Okay, that's a higher goal. Or perhaps after getting the high paying job that you desire, you want also to achieve some of your goals like magtukod kag balay, okay, build a family, or perhaps buy luxury cars, okay, and other dreams uh, that cannot be done if wala nato na-achieve tong other goals. So it's called the means end relationship. So you need to achieve the one goal to be able to achieve the next highest goal. In talking about goals and objectives, so we have to be familiar with the terms efficiency and effectiveness. Okay. So efficiency means you attempt to fulfill the goals and objectives of the company while using the least amount of resources or inputs. So with the least amount of effort, okay, so you have achieved the goal and objectives of the company. So that's what we call efficiency. Effectiveness is the actual accomplishment of goals. So if you have achieved your goal, then um, you are effect. The effort has been effective. So if your goal is to graduate in BSAIS, okay, and it eventually happened, so all your efforts has been effective because you have achieved the goal. So though both efficiency and effectiveness are important, effectiveness is more important, okay, than the than efficiency. Okay, so you can be efficient, but if the goal is not but if the goal is not achieved or not accomplished, so all your efforts and resources are wasted. Okay, so so for example, you have a goal of passing the subject strategic management. So of course, for you to be able to achieve that, you need to get a 75% grade. Okay, so for example, at the end of the semester, you get 75%. So that is both effective and efficient. Why? Because in getting the 75%, of course, you need to apply the effort, minimum effort, just enough to get 75%. Okay, so at the same time, it's effective because you only need 75 to pass the grade, to pass the subject. However, if you get a higher grade, okay, it is effective, yes, because you still passed the strategic management, but it is not efficient. Ano man, because for you to be able to achieve a higher grade in my subject, okay, so you need to exert more effort. Okay, you need to exert more effort, more studies. Okay, that is why it's not efficient because you're using more resources. Okay, remember that your goal is to pass the subject. Okay, so but I'm not encouraging yung dapat di na ko mag-effort kay dili man day efficient. No, that's not what I mean. So maningkamot yapon ka because of course the higher the grade, the better your kuan. Uh, the more confident you are that you have acquired an expertise on that particular subject. So not passing the subject, kung wa mo kapasar, then it's both not effective and not efficient. Okay? So of course all the efforts are wasted and you have not achieved your goal, hence not effective. So let me give you a sample mga these are the FSU's institutional graduate attributes and outcomes. So these are the attributes that the FSU is hoping na inyong ma-acquire, and the outcomes are the manifestation of those attributes. Or for example, if they want you to become God-centered, so the manifestations or the evidence that you have become a God-centered is if you have attained the IGOs 1 to 5. So for example, make ethical life decisions and life actions according to the values and principles of Christian faith or of one's religion. So that's a manifestation of becoming a God-centered. So other outcomes or other attributes, you have the other-oriented. So it's more on people, mission-driven. You are an effective communicator. You are results-driven. So before you graduate, so dapat daw ma-acquire na ni mga attributes, culturally sensitive, ethically oriented, empowered citizens, a peace advocate, self-sustaining, critically and creatively discerning, professionally accountable, okay, and lastly, uh, becoming an ecologically responsible Orian or alumni. Okay, so your IGO 27 and 28 are the manifestation that you have become ecologically responsible. Now for the program, so we have the koan. Okay, we have our own goals and objectives. So the goal of the accountancy program is to produce competent professional accountants capable of making a positive contribution over their lifetime to the profession and society in which they work. So for them to attain the goal, so the program endeavors to, so these are the objectives. So one is equip students with the foundation of general, organizational or business, information technology, and accounting or finance knowledge. Second objective is to develop in students the intellectual, interpersonal, and communication skills. Three is prepare students for the CPA licensure examination and employment in various establishments or sectors of the community. Fourth is to inculcate the students the Orient values of unity, religiosity, integrity, altruism, and nationalism. And fifth is to update continually the curriculum, the students, the faculty, and on current trends of development. So actually, this is the PGO before the koan. Uh, before the CHED issued a memo nga nanay other programs such as BSA, BSIA, MAEIS. So una, we only have two courses, that is BSA and Accounting Technology. So actually, this is the old PGOs. So it has been revised already. Okay, so so of course the program. So this is what the program is trying to do. Okay, so I'm done. So if you have questions, clarifications, or if you have comments about the accountancy program's goals and objectives, so you can use the chat box, okay? Or you can use your mic. Okay, you can now ask questions or any clarifications.